Alright, we're back with a budget Highboy and we're gonna get this thing wired. So now that it's all apart, we get to slowly start putting things back together. Finally, we're done taking it apart, at least I think. So we're gonna start with one of the most important things is the harness. Now we're running a painless 21 circuit, you can see the part number right there, for a 67 to 77 truck. Now this will go in any single truck that you would have, and the nice thing about this one is the Galaxy has a 21 circuit painless harness in it, which was amazing, but that's a universal one. This one has all the plugs, all the connectors. It's a direct fit harness. We ran one of these. Marty and I did the harness in Franklin's truck, this exact same harness in 24 hours. I think it was literally like 24 hours on the dot. We did all-nighter, finished the whole truck and drove it the next day with no wiring to a full wiring harness in one day. So these are very simple to put in. They're very, very straightforward. So we're gonna basically take the rest of the old harness out. I'm gonna show you guys how to take everything out of the dash, get all that stuff out, put the new harness in it, run everything around it where it needs to go. So when we start putting body panels and pieces on it, everything will start going together. We can just plug everything in. So the bulk of the harness install will go together today. You can see in the last one, I guess if you go to that side.
Well, as you can see, we already started pulling some of the harness out. This was the heater box. He just yanked all that out.
Yeah.
And
this isn't too bad. Like, this harness wasn't in terrible shape, but being it's from a 67 and we're in this far, we should just replace everything and make sure it's all good. We don't want to have this thing go together. And then, I mean, we have a new motor, new transmission that obviously doesn't belong in it. A lot of things that are just different and new. The last thing was a fire hazard based on old wiring. So this alleviates all those issues. So one of the things that you got to do is take this ignition switch out, and it's a little difficult for a lot of people that haven't done it before. So what I have is, if you have a pick or a pair of little tweezers, there's a little hole. You'll see, and it's got a little push button on top. So it's gonna be kind of tricky to see, but you see this hole right on top of the key? So there's a button right there that I can push in and out. And so you can see, if I go to the passenger side of the accessory, so I turn to the left, push the button in, and I keep turning the key, it goes further, and the lock cylinder comes out. So that's how you take these things out. And then from there, usually, I can hold my thumb, see if it'll actually work, or if it'll embarrass me in front of the world. You can take this and twist it. There it goes, it's going slowly. Eventually you can just grab it, there it goes.
yeah, you are the wrench.
I am the wrench, yeah. So you can see now it just unthreads. There it goes. Sometimes they're stuck, sometimes they don't want to come out. This is how you take them out though. I don't really have a special socket or a tool for this. If it's really stuck, you could probably just take a flat blade and a punch and try to tap it around. But this is how you take these things apart. And if you still are lucky enough to have your original key and lock cylinder, do yourself a favor, thread this back on and put this thing back together before you touch anything else, because this thing is all sorts of keyed a specific way. And so it goes in the same way that it came out. And they're very tricky to put back together. So you want to make sure that if you took it apart, just do yourself a favor and put it back together now. There. Now it's all together again. I don't have to worry about it. I can still use my original key, which I still have.
You're not gonna worry about losing it.
Yeah, and this works for the doors too. So I want to make sure that if I have the original key still, it's one of these gold keys, you still have it, try to keep it. That's what we're gonna do. So now all we have to do is just pull everything off the back stud here. And you can see this harness, we've already started taking it out. So we've got to unplug windshield wipers, those switches, which is the same thing. There's an Allen key on this one. So we'll take an Allen key. There's a tiny little set screw for that one. The headlight switch, there's another push button on the back. Pull it out, push the button, comes right out. And then you can use a flat blade on this one. I'm gonna see if I can do it without a screwdriver. No. So this one's same thing. Fairly simple when you've done it 87 times like I have. And there's a notch, and you gotta make sure this thing stays in the right place. So again, just take the switch, put it back together, put it out of the way. I think the switch still works, but you can see the rheostat has a lot of corrosion on it, so I probably will be replacing this one regardless. Just like I said, we're replacing all the stuff, we're already here. Let's just make sure it's all good. The same thing with this one. This one is the same concept. That set screw, this knob comes off, and then there's a flat screw on it, same like the headlight switches. And then I believe it's the exact same thing with the choke as well. This one, oh, I just broke the light out of it. Whatever. And that is how you take a bump side dash apart. It's really that easy. They're not
7 things.
The only thing that's different on this truck is this is a 67, so I have never dealt with these controllers for the heater. So those are different for me, so I'm gonna figure those out. I'm assuming it's all the same concept with set screws.
Take the set screw off,
and then there's a screwdriver. Yeah, you can see there's you can take snap ring pliers if you don't have any sort of fancy socket for this. There is a socket for that, but you can just take snap ring pliers, put the 2 teeth in there, and try to turn it. They're usually not that tight. You can grab it from the back side and usually kind of wiggle it, turn it with it, and help it. So that's what we'll do. Get the rest of that out, get the harness out, we'll lay it all out. We'll start going through our painless kit, and we'll show you how it goes together. Okay, so this is your entire bump side harness in one shot.
It's like opening a present, just a very difficult one.
Yeah, and it just keeps, you get like 2 edges at a time.
All right, what do we got?
We have an entire harness for a bump side that we gotta figure out how to go. how it goes together. So this is kind of the whole thing. We're gonna lay it all the way out. I think this is probably light harness.
Regulator.
Yeah, voltage regulator. So this is probably goes to the engine bay. You got your fuse panel. Like this is how simple it is. This is your headlight switch. I can already tell just based on the plug. So that's what I was saying. So this has all the plugs on it. You can actually see they write what everything goes to. You can see this one says starter solenoid on it. So these are all labeled, and every single wire is labeled for what it says and where it goes. So if there's a left or a right or ground or positive or whatever, it's gonna say it on it. So that's why when they say they're painless, they really are, because all you have to do is just read them, lay them out into sub harnesses of where they go, and just put it in. It's really not that crazy. So yeah, I really, really highly recommend these harnesses. I've used them a bunch. Like I said, the Galaxy, this car has one in it. This has a full 21 circuit universal, and Franklin's truck has this identical harness in it, and they work amazing. I've not had a single issue with them. Once they're in, they're done. They're a one-stop shop. You put them in, and you never have to touch it again.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So
you got your whole fuse box set up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then this is sub harness. This is, I think, the one that goes to like the tail lights because it's super long.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is probably our tail light area. 20
feet long.
Yes. Let's go to the back of the truck. Ignition stuff. Which one's this? This is all backup light. No. Oh, backup ignition. Dimmer switch. Yeah. So these are all dash components. Headlight switch. Our fuse block will get mounted, and you can see this all has modern fuses in it.
No more glass fuses.
Yeah, and relays. And it's pretty much they have.
And then these all come with 2 relays in them.
Yeah.
Oh, they come with an extra relay for if you're running a electric fuel pump.
Yeah. So
every single painless harness comes like that.
Yeah, which is really nice. So I don't think we're running. I think I'm gonna keep this truck as simple as I can. So
even grommets.
So what I was saying with these plugs, so this comes with all the correct plugs to go into the gauge cluster. The 67 one's weird. The 67 is a 1 year only, so I think on mine I might have to reuse the gauge plug if this one doesn't fit. I think this is the one that goes into the gauge. One of them is the ones that goes into the gauge cluster, like this one I know is. But as you can see, there's a bunch of differences between a lot of the plugs that are on this thing. So we gotta figure out which one's the correct one, if it comes in this kit, and if not, we're gonna have to retrofit an old setup. But it's kind of cool, it has all the little lights. I didn't know it had the lights, that's new. And then we have all our firewall grommets, those are all right here. And I think this is a ballast. What ballast was this here? And then this is our main power from the battery in. This is our main breaker. So this comes out, you can see it's got a huge 70 amp fuse in it. And then this mounts to the fuse block, which I'm not going to do because it'll get stuck. Firewall. And then you screw this into the firewall. So this guy mounts into the firewall, and then you can just clip this and then pull the tabs. You can take the whole thing out. So it's actually,
so when you put that in these trucks, you just take out your old glass fuse box, and then you just mount that guy right where it was.
Yeah, I'll put this probably in one of the same screw holes to even make it easier. I can even rotate it, and I could probably get them both in the exact same screw hole.
Yeah, and what's really nice about these harnesses is they make everything long enough to where you can move stuff if you want it somewhere else. Like if you want to wire tuck the whole truck, they make everything long enough to where you can hide everything.
This is our steering column, which tells you like turn signals, and they're all labeled. All these sub harnesses are labeled. So this is definitely the gauge harness. These are all the lights.
Got everything. Late model turn signal.
You've got a headlight sub harness if you're running dual lights. You can see it's got both the pigtails right there. They're in a series, or they're in parallel. And then this is our entire gauge harness. You can tell by the bulbs. And then this is one style plug. I think this is more like the plug that's in the truck. It's something in between all these, so I gotta figure out which one's which. And then this is our another gauge harness. Yeah, so this is 70 to 74 cluster.
Yeah, there should be an adapter for 67.
Yeah, so there's 70, 74, 75, 77. This is an AC sub harness with the relay already in it. That's super cool. So you don't have to make it.
Which we'll be using that since this truck's gonna have air conditioning.
Yeah, it is gonna have AC. So it'll be cool. We have our headlight harness, our sub harness. That'll go over there. This is definitely an update. I think this is an updated version from the one that we
This is definitely newer than the one we put in that car.
A heater harness, because the other one that we used, it was all one big thing. This is all now subbed out into sub harnesses, which is really nice. So there's another headlight harness, so that will go with that one. So there's 2 of them.
Man, this kit comes with a lot.
Yeah, this is super cool. And then taillight ground harness, that'll go with the taillights. And then we have a couple pigtails. Proportioning light, that's the one that goes on the dash, the brake light thing. Green and red, 72 only. That's really cool. Proportioning valve light. Then we have all the connectors. Put this whole thing together. So now I just made a huge mess all over the floor. But yeah, I want to give a massive thank you to the guys over at Painless. I'll have the link for this down below. We'll have a whole price breakdown at the end of the video of where we're at with the budget on everything. So stick around for that. But with that, we're gonna get this entire harness put in the truck. I'm gonna show you how easy this is. It should go really, really nicely. It's gonna look good. And then we'll illumine the whole thing too, so. Very nice. The other important thing that we forgot to mention is they come with the baddest set of instructions that I've ever seen. This is super, super helpful. So it goes down step by step. This thing's a literal book. Look how thick this is. and it goes through everything on how to put this whole setup in. So I'm gonna cruise through this and educate myself. And it has all the diagrams. This is very, very important. So it says exactly what all the colors are. This stuff's super helpful. So I'm gonna jam through this and we're gonna familiarize ourselves with everything on this system. We'll start putting this whole thing in. So these
guys are constantly improving their kits.
Yeah.
Because this is much more detailed than it was 5 years ago.
No, yeah, we like I said, we did one of these in Franklin's truck like a long time ago, and I think this is an updated version because I don't remember. But you can see this is all the wiring that goes into one of these trucks. It's really nothing too crazy, so you guys don't have to be afraid of it. It can be painless, see?
It can be painless.
Make it painless.
Yeah, just to make it painless, what you do is you make your friends do it.
Yep, that's what we're doing. Good job, bud. Appreciate it.
Up wiring. Guys, we're starting to put the harness in now. We gotta get the rest of this old firewall cover out. It's kind of beat, and we're gonna order a new one. So we got the harness somewhat laid out here in the truck. Basically, it follows all the factory stuff, and then you mount the fuse block where it goes from the factory. We haven't put the grommets on or anything yet because we're test fitting everything. But basically, you can separate all the sections of the harness, pretty much run everything the same exact way as the factory. So like we've got our headlight assembly switch here. We've got accessory relay, which is the thing I was talking about earlier with this, is I think it's a 20 amp or so, but you can run an accessory relay on these. It's already in the box, and then it comes with the activation switch for it, so you don't gotta put an ugly relay box somewhere. We got the whole gauge plug set up. I still have to set up the ignition setup for the switch. We have this guy, which is actually for your emergency flashers on 67 only, because it goes in the glove box, which ours was broken, so I'm gonna have to try to fix that switch. Just for reference, basically, you got your whole driver's side harness, headlights, all that stuff, and then the taillight harness, and then we got our engine harness, and the passenger side harness. Alternator, positive, all that stuff. So this is what Craig was talking about earlier, because it actually goes into detail on just about everything. It tells you where to separate all the harness and everything. It shows you a bunch of stuff on where to mount it, to put your fuse block in right there. It shows you just about everything. You can do this if you don't know the first thing about wiring. So it's pretty simple, and that's why they call it painless.
Sweater weather, you know what that means. It's time to build some headers. So I went on Marketplace, which is the greatest thing ever. And I don't admit that I have a Facebook Marketplace addiction, but I think everybody can admit they're maybe possibly having one. What else do you do when you take a poop? So I bought these, which are a set of long tube headers off of a 460 for, I don't really know. In the ad, it literally said one's for a 460 Bronco swap. The other is, I don't know. He didn't know. I don't know. I don't know what they are. But either way, 2 sets of long tube headers for a 460 for $100. You can't go wrong. And the only thing I really need is the flanges, because there's not a set of headers in the world that would be prefab for this truck, because I custom made the motor mounts and I dropped the engine about 6 inches. So with that, what we get to do is just basically take everything you see here. We're gonna cut these 4 headers up into one good set. I have a set of Headman headers. You can see the tag right here on this one. This is actually an expensive set of headers. And then I don't know what the heck these other ones are out of. But yeah, either way, out of all of these multi-piece headers, you can see there's a bunch of different tubes, different landing pads, and just everything to make a bunch of cool headers. So what I'm gonna do is I built a set of headers. I have a full custom long tube set in my Crown Vic drift car, if you guys saw that. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing here. I'm gonna show you guys how to build a custom set of long tube headers for $100. Let's get into it.
All right, guys, we're done. We built them.
Installed. a multi-piece header, which is supposed to wrap around the motor mount because they're impossible to install. I have no clue what brand these are. It's one of those where it wiggles but doesn't actually move. Yay. So if I can get this half of the motor mount in the truck on the passenger side, then the rest of it's very simple to work with. I'm actually thinking, so I thought about it, the 789 Bronco is basically the same chassis as a Highboy. I think it might be a Lowboy, but I think the motor mounts with a 460 would be the same. So, and the frame rail, I think just the rail would still be the same. The suspension is different, but I think the rails are the same. So technically, if I bolt these up, they should fit. So I'm gonna test with these and see how they work. So if these two fit, the rest of it should be easy. That's very close. With a little bit of persuasion, I think they would. Alright, so you can see we got the one side header in, barely clear. As you can actually see, it's like borderline touching the frame right there. So I gotta trim that corner of the frame off, which isn't a big deal, it's only a little trim. And then you can see on this bolt, it's a little bit too close for my liking, so I'm gonna trim. I'm probably gonna dent that header tube in. Front two are in and they're fitting. And then you can see I've already chopped the collector because it's pretty much facing my cross member in the bell housing, so I'm gonna have to snake that thing around. It's gonna be super sick. So, but that's easy to do. But the fact that I have a long tube in this thing is definitely, I was thinking I was gonna have to build mid-length headers. It doesn't seem like that's the case anymore, which is freaking rad. So I'm gonna slip the front two tubes in it, see if those line up or how they line up with this engine mount, and then see if everything will work. So let's see if the front ones will fit. Because I knew there. I think it'll fit. Push. Just putting some elbow into it. An electric ratchet is not a ratchet. So behind me is the original floor mat out of my 1967 Highboy, and they're only original once. However, this one is in really good shape, but it's incredibly dirty. So I have some gunk product here. We're gonna make this thing look brand new with a little bit of effort. So let's change it. It's crazy to think that this thing is actually 50 plus years old, and it's in as good of shape as it actually is. So the first thing we did is hook some gunk degreaser and spray this thing, and I want to reiterate that this is the only thing I used was some basic brushes and some gunk degreaser and just a little bit of elbow grease, and scrubbed this thing pretty good, and you can see it all just pretty much runs right off. You can see the browns and the dirts coming out of this thing, and then it simply just washes right off. So there's no sense in replacing things that aren't broken, and as you can see here, this thing looks absolutely brand new. every single time. All right, so after the gunk degreaser, this thing came out absolutely amazing. It looks literally brand new, and it's crazy to think this thing's over 50 years old and it still looks this good. And I did look, and it does have a C7 truck factory tag on it, so this is an original Ford one, which is crazy that's even remotely in this good shape. So minus a couple nooks and tears here and there, we'll be able to put this thing back in for $0 and put it back in the truck and make it look really good. So I want to give a massive thank you to GUNK Products for sponsoring today's video. If you want to check out their products, I'll have a link down in the description below. It's free to check out their wide range of products. You can grab it at a bunch of local retailers. Let's get back into the action. Let's put this thing in the truck. Got a couple more things to go and throw in the interior before we get the rest of this thing wired. Put it all back together. Alrighty guys, we're making headway on this thing. As you can see, headers are in, they fit. I'm gonna have to put gaskets in them still, but they are bolted. They will meet flush here. They're not hitting anything down there, which is nice. Same on the other side. The other side, I just had to put one dent right where the motor mount hits. You can see I torched it and dented it, so now everything clears here. So I don't actually have as much work on these headers as I thought I did. So these must have been for a 460 Highboy truck, which I just got flat out lucky. That never happens. But needless to say, if I needed to cut some tubes and re-weld some stuff, I could have done that. I've done it before. So sometimes it's best to just get a set of headers that are for the correct chassis or the correct motor and just cut the tubes and then just fit them where they go, and you can MIG weld the whole thing. And you can build, anyone can build a set of headers. This isn't some crazy fabrication skill. You just got to take your time and understand the process. So like I said, I did get lucky, but if I had to, I could have. Now the wiring harness, everything is pretty much routed where it needs to go. Marty's kind of gotten all that where it needs to be. As he said, he has our left side harness, which is going to be headlights. That will go down to our reverse light harness, our engine harness, and then our main power harness. This is where the battery and everything sits. So all that stuff is routed. The exhaust is in. Things are starting to get ready to go back together. Our floor mat is now clean. That thing's all looking brand new. I mean, just the amazing condition of this thing is still baffling to me. That's why I'm really trying to reuse this thing, is just because of how good a shape it's in. Heater box is apart. I'm going to put a new heater core in it. Pedals have had a couple things come back from paint, and by paint I mean outside where the spray booth is, which is a tree and a rattle can. And for $6, everything looks really good. So I'm gonna give you guys a price rundown on everything that we're at right now, and it's looking okay. And it's definitely difficult. I didn't realize going into this how hard this was gonna be. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably laughed when I said $10,000 I could build a truck like this. So let's go through the pricing and see where I'm at. Alrighty, here's the part I know you guys have all been waiting for, which is the budget breakdown on this truck. How much money am I in this thing, and how much do I have left? And have I stretched this budget way too far already? I don't know, let's go through it. So far, recap from the last video. All right, so I originally bought this truck for $1,000. It was a stock 2-wheel drive truck that was just taken apart, and it had a 460 in the bed. So the engine was free, the 460 it was free. The chassis that it's sitting on, I found on Marketplace, I got it for $700. It's a 77 dent side chassis. So currently right there, we're at $1,700. And on the engine side of things, so the engine was free, but it was junk. So I had to put a $300 balanced rotating assembly in it, spend $1,117.14 at JBA machining this thing to get everything ready to accept that rotating assembly. $40 timing cover and oil pump from Martin. This thing has a $411.02 camshaft kit with lifters, and that pretty much covered everything on the engine. Everything else was spare stuff lying around, like the valve covers were given to me, and I had some blue paint in the cabinet from other engines I've done years ago. The can of paint was like 6 years old. The transmission in this thing was $700, found that on Marketplace. The steering on this thing with everything included, the entire Benchwork steering kit for this truck with the box and everything, is $2,154.90. With the wiring harness in this truck, the wiring harness is a complete plug and play kit. There are cheaper options that Painless has. If you don't want a direct kit, they have universal ones that are cheaper. I went with a direct fit for time, and that cost us $774.99 for the entire wiring harness for the truck. You don't have to buy anything. Every single piece is there. It comes with all of it. Every plug, every knob, every switch, connector, everything to basically hook this thing up. You don't have to buy anything. So that's why I did that. It was a one-stop shop. I recommend you guys go down to the website and check that stuff out. I'll have a link in the description for you guys to browse around, but that's what it costs to put in this truck. This thing has a $395 McLeod flywheel, $375 McLeod clutch kit, $60 in materials for me to make the engine mounts. That was fairly cheap. $18 in primer on the roof when I fixed the top of the truck, $35 in body filler to fix the top. This thing has a $100 set of headers in it, which they now do fit, which is awesome. So I have $100 in the long tube headers. Those were on Marketplace. $120 got me the firewall and the undercoating on the truck. That was basically all the paint materials to go on there. So our grand total puts us at $8,301.05. Pretty much 8,300 bucks is what I'm into this truck. And you're probably like, damn, that's a really, really tight budget and you have a long ways to go still. But what you guys probably forgot is this truck was two-wheel drive and I had a two-wheel drive chassis that I sold. So I got money back into this project. And that's something I recommend when you're building a truck like this is you can sell a lot of the old crap that came with it or stuff you have lying around the shop to help pay for it. So with that in mind, this was a two-wheel drive truck. I sold that chassis to a friend of mine that needed it for $1,000. I gave him the entire rolling chassis. It's wheels, tires, suspension, brakes, the frame, the fuel tanks that were on it, every single thing that was on that. I lifted the body off, gave him the whole thing. That was $1,000 back into this project that I got. Ended up selling the two-wheel drive chassis for more than I got the four-wheel drive one for. And on top of that, in the bed with the 460 was a C6 automatic transmission. I had no interest in that. I sold that on Marketplace for $300. That gave us $1,300 to put back into this truck, and that puts our new total back down to $7,001.05. So we're at basically 7 grand. I have 3 grand left to put into this truck. I still need to do brakes, put the interior back together, finish up the engine and dress it, wrap up the wiring, plumb the whole thing, and get it driving. Do it. Can I do it? I think I can. I have a couple more tips and tricks up my sleeve. I can't wait to show you guys. And with that, we're gonna pick this up, get everything back in the truck in the next video. We're finally ready for reassemble where we can put all of these nice used parts back in this truck and hopefully get this thing looking like a truck again. So with that, I wanted to give you a massive thank you to you guys for watching today's video. Grab the merchandise at 98speedcompany.com. We have a lot of really cool stuff and our first product coming out very, very soon for these trucks. So you don't want to miss that. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video with the Highboy. Later, guys. Tripping. There we go.